superintendent searches, accepting autism, and peaceful painting. All this and more as the Stafford Weekly News starts now. Welcome to the Friday, April 10th edition of the Stafford Weekly News. I'm Randall Williams. SMSD has a new boss after months of searching and interviewing. In the first of two interviews, we sat down with Board of Trustees President Hamirani and Vice President Jean-Baptiste to talk about that search.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time is now 6:30. Call to order the Stafford Municipal.
The Stafford Municipal School District is entering a pivotal new chapter. Following an extensive search, the Board of Trustees has named Dr. Adam Stevens as the lone finalist for superintendent. As the district navigates this historic transition, we sat down with Board President Hamirani and Vice President Jacqueline Jean-Baptiste. The search is over and the board has made its decision. What specific qualities or track records set Dr. Stevens apart from the rest of the field?
Thank you. It's honestly a pleasure being here and being able to talk to you about this, because this has been something that the board's been working on for extremely long time. And I took a moment before our last meeting, before we announced our finalists, to go through all our agendas and go through our meetings, and I uploaded it all on AI to figure out how much time did we spend on it. It turned out we spent 61 hours as a board, and that's in meetings, that's in the boardroom. That's not including the time we spent reviewing materials, the time we all spent outside of board meetings looking to be prepared for those board meetings. And the board's done an excellent job being extremely diligent and extremely thorough going through the entire process. And all 7 board members have spent countless hours away from their families, and have all done so because they want to make sure that this decision is the right decision for Stafford. Dr. Stevens was one of 56 extremely competent, extremely qualified candidates that we had, including many sitting superintendents. And we were very diligent as we went through to figure out what is it that the district needs. And we took in all the input from our community. We had interviews, we had surveys, we had a town hall. All the board members had the opportunity to express what we all believed that we needed from our superintendent. We also looked at to our teachers or staff and said, hey, what do you want to see in your leader? And taking all that into consideration, what we really figured out ultimately is we want someone who really cares about students. Someone who is wanting to put students first and wants to see students achieve excellent when they leave our district doors, and what they do outside once they're gone. And so we've really felt like Dr. Stevens brought a student-first approach to our district. Someone who understands the academic portion of it, but also someone who can continue to improve Stafford MSD as being the true dominant academic hub that we are.
I agree with everything President Hamirani said. And another part that stood out when you looked at Dr. Stevens' background and how he started as a special ed teacher, and that the patience it takes, and then moving forward up his career. But as he explained and talked about all of his accomplishments thus far, that really stood out because that let me know that he has the patience to work with any type of child, and he wants the best for every type of child or children. And so that part of it really kind of stuck out with me because I knew that he would be patient, engaging, and he was for all children.
How were the candidates laid out for the board to make a decision?
So the way it was presented to the board is we collected all the candidates first, and our search firm who we worked with did all of that, aggregated all of those. And then the board had the opportunity to review all the candidates at the same time. As a board, spent a lot of time, and part of that time was when you have so many folks who you think can do the job and do it well, it comes down to some of those smaller things, and you start really digging deep to figure out who is not only the right candidate, but also who can understand the dynamics and the needs of Stafford today, and can really, one, continue to work on our strengths where we are doing well and continue to strengthen those, but also where there's opportunities for us to improve, and someone that can come in and make those improvements, which was extremely important for us.
What is the very first directive or expectation the board has for the new superintendent on day one?
I guess for the board, he's going to put together a plan, but we want him to listen. We want him to go around, talk to each campus, and understand what their needs are, and come back to the board But for us, we kind of ranked it. He's going to come into budget season. So even before we can do academic, budget season will start in May. And so his first number one is we have to find and pass a balanced budget. So I think that's our first, in my opinion. And then from there, we should start getting the scores back from the STAR test and then breaking those down, reviewing them, and then working with, to me, Dr. Amos and his team and looking at our curriculum and making sure everything's aligned, and from there cut out his work on how we are going to improve our academics.
I 100% agree, and I think what you said was exactly right. And we said that even if you watched the meeting that we had, when we actually named him our lone finalist, we had a lot of our teachers and staff that were in there, and I told them, I was like, look, enough talking to us, go talk to the important people. Because that is who is in the weeds and is working with their students. They're the ones that are interfacing with their students every single day. They have so much information. Our team has just a wealth of information. So his job is going to be go talk to them, understand what their needs are, understand where they think there's opportunities for us to continue to improve, and it's going to be to listen. And also one of the things that we do as a board is during that first 100 days, we come up, as opposed to the board telling him, here, here are your goals, we actually collaboratively as a team of 8 come up with what those goals are going to be and what those milestones are going to be. And that's going to be part of that 100-day plan, is to say, hey, here's the things that we're going to measure you, and we're going to make sure you do a good job, because that's our job, is to make sure you're held accountable to do a good job. And we're going to come up with those things together. And it really is an opportunity for us, but you're right, you get thrown into it. Being a superintendent, there's so many things that they have to cover, and he gets thrown right into the budget season. And one of the things that's unique about Stafford being an MSD, we're the only ones that do this, is budget season is not just your board, it's also the city council, and being able to interface with all 14 elected officials that are going to get to approve or say no on those on that first budget. And I sure hope that he comes up with a budget that does go 14-0 and sets a really nice precedent for him going forward.
Now that the superintendent position is filled, what is the board's top priority for the remainder of the academic year?
It's a great question. So, there's so many different things that we're actually working on right now. The board has always said we want to make sure that we are putting our kids first, and we are focused on academic achievement. Right now, as we go through a time where the state hasn't really done the district any favors, hasn't done public education any favors, unfortunately, we as a district are figuring out, with the little money that we have, how can we continue to use that money to support our teachers, to continue to support our students, and how do we finish this year to make sure that we really set ourselves up on a platform to do well next year? Because I think that following the school rating we've gotten, and I'll be very candid with you and open, is the board's not happy with it. No one on the board said, hey, we're proud of this. Yes, there's some shining stars, and I don't want to take away from those things. Our CCMR scores are phenomenal. Some of the schools did really well. But overall, as a district, we are not where we want to be. And is really going to be, how do we get from where we are today to that point? And putting the resources as a board, we're not in there day to day. We're not working with kids as much as we'd like. But what we do get to do is decide where those resources are allocated, and to continue to ensure that we are allocating the resources in the right places, so that next year when you're interviewing me again, hopefully you still are, and that we're saying a very different story, and we're talking about how proud we are that we are where we're going, and hopefully we're in the right track to get to be an A district, and that's ultimately our goal. And one of the things, once we sign this contract, it will be public, but one of the emphasis for us as a district and as a board, while we were working on the superintendent contract, is let's make sure we align so that the goals that are set within this contract are to ensure that the performance of our district is aligned with personal compensation. And it's a very unique thing. We did that with our current superintendent. We were the first to do it. Now, many around the state have started doing it, but there was a big emphasis on this year. As you know, we want to make sure that you've heard me say it before, is that we want to make sure we pay all our people. I always believe we have to pay people, teachers, staff, everyone needs to get paid fairly, but we also want people to earn it. We want to make sure we reward good performance, and when we tie that performance in with student achievement, great things are going to happen here in Stafford.
Parents want to know that their voices are being heard, particularly regarding safety, academics, and transparency. How will the board's focus shift now to ensure parent concerns are prioritized under this new leadership?
So I will tell parents that every survey, town hall, everything that was said was brought to us. It was categorized, and when we looked at the superintendents, that was some of the things on how well did they do under academics, how well did they do under the budget, transparency, all of that when we talk to them. So moving forward, that's our first and foremost, is listening to parents and their concerns, and then making sure that our goals reflect what the parents want to see also. So almost every parent, everybody wants the academics of the district, as Asha said. So we hear you, and those are our goals. Like we said, we made sure those are the superintendent goals. Everything else, I'll say, is that we hear the parents, and we're doing our best to ensure that us as a district, we're making sure that the people that are responsible for the campuses are implementing the things that we know we need, from security to facilities, everything.
Absolutely agree with that. And it's one of the things that's so hard, because there's so many avenues where parents are able to reach out to us, whether it's public comments here in our boardroom, whether it's on social media, and there's so many different platforms. We as a board, in fact, we were just having a conversation before we even started this interview. We look at it, we pay attention, we understand, we share it with one another to make sure we all know what's happening in the community. One of the toughest parts about being a board member is we actually are legally not allowed to respond to any of those things. Because if we do, it violates the Open Meetings Act, and it creates a whole big mess for the district, which would cost us way more money, potential jail time. So it's really tough as a board member sometimes when we want to say, hey, look, thank you for bringing this to our attention. We're going to address it, but we can't. We're again, it's our hands are tied when we do that. And even in public comment, we always tell people, hey, look, I wish I could respond to you, but I can't. I really cannot. But just know that every one of those things and every single one of those concerns are brought up in the boardroom, and the board ensures that the administration is, one, made aware of it, and two, is working to solve those things. Which is why you'll see many of our teammates that are working for the district will reach out and say, hey, we've seen this message and we'll try to address it the best day that they can. Because the board has made it very clear that we want the parents to be able to voice their concerns, and we want to ensure that we are fulfilling. Because again, we're parents. We're all parents. Everyone on the board is parents. We either have current students or have alumni of the district, and we all care about it. And we've all been in the exact situation that those parents are, and we want to do the right thing, and we want to make sure. And it's hard sometimes because we want to communicate, and it's so hard to not communicate when your lawyers are telling you, and TASB and everyone else just tells you, hey, as much as you want to, do not do it, because you can get in some legal trouble for that. So, but just know that those voices and all those concerns are heard and listened to, and also are being addressed by the board.
And we encourage parents to send information in, whether you email us, you email the superintendent or the deputy superintendents, the chiefs. Bring the information forward, because the only way that we can improve everything that's going on in our districts is if we know about it. And so we encourage parents to voice their concerns.
Yeah, and our emails are all online. You can find every single one of us. Our first name, first letter of our first name, our last name at staffordmsd.org. All 7 of us. And I guarantee all 7 board members will respond to you, and will ensure that whatever concern you have, it will get solved.
Interview conclusion. Next.
We continue our interview about SMSD's new superintendent with President Ash Hamirani and Vice President Jean-Baptiste.
As board president, you've guided the district through a critical leadership transition. How will you and the board objectively measure Dr. Stevens' success during his first 100 days?
That's great. And part of what we've tried to do, and I alluded to this earlier, is ensuring that his incentives, his financial incentives, are aligned with what the district wants to see, what the board wants to see. I think that's going to be extremely important. Fortunately, we don't get that measurement in the first 100 days. So when we do that, what we're going to be really looking for is how much is he listening? How much is he learning? What kind of plan is he putting in place? And the great thing about our board is very unique, and most people don't recognize this, is you've got 7 board members who are extremely diverse, come from very different backgrounds, different professions, different demographically, we're all extremely different, but also what we do and the expertise that we bring, our skill sets are extremely different. Given all those differences, we're actually the most aligned group of 7 people you've ever met. And I've had the pleasure of serving with different board members over time. I interact with a lot of different boards in different districts. It is so refreshing to see 7 folks who really care about our kids, and all 7 of us want to see the same thing. And when you have that, you have a board that's receptive, is not looking and doing any politics, and doesn't care about any personal gain from this. Again, we all get paid $0, 0 cents for it. We do it because we care. We show up and we spend the time because we care. And having a superintendent in place that was going to ensure that is going to put all that hard work and give us a plan that is, one, extremely real, right? We call it SMART goals. We want to make sure that everything is extremely strategic and has measurable impact. But one of the things we do plan to do, and this is extremely important to the board, is accountability. We're going to hold our superintendent accountable. We want to ensure that he delivers the results that he has promised us. A lot of what we looked at as we went through candidates and looked through all the different people who wanted to be our superintendent. And again, there's a lot of people that want to be Stafford MSD superintendent. We're a great district to work for. We're a wonderful community. People want to be part of that success. Is how do we ensure that someone that we can hold accountable and someone that's going to deliver on those results? And if they don't deliver on those results, how do we ensure that whatever that level of accountability is, that we as a board do that? One of the things that's really unique about being a board member is there's 7 of us, but there's only one employee that we all have, and that's the superintendent. And it's our job, and it's incumbent on us to make sure that we are holding this new candidate, new person, new finalist, Dr. Stevens, accountable for the results that we want. And a lot of our questioning and a lot of the things, a lot of due diligence we did was to measure that, is how do we measure those things? And there's state measurements, but then there's also internal measurements. And again, I think we're really excited. I think we found a candidate who is going to be able to hit those lofty goals. And again, those goals are not easy, but someone who's going to be able to do that and also hold themselves to a very high level of integrity.
You are running unopposed in this current election cycle. Without a challenger to debate at the upcoming forum, what is the core message or mandate you want voters to take away regarding your vision for the district?
Okay, so my one thing that I want everyone to take away from me is that I'm going to push harder at academics. One of the first things that I did from going to different conferences is I've kind of helped us create an academic schedule where I hold the chiefs accountable for, we need the academic updates in these different quarters of the school year. And so it's now moved forward for next year, next term is working to, make sure that we have that in place, and then come up with another initiative, and I'm hoping that we can get it started next year. But want to create something called Spartan Talk, is where at least once a year, maybe twice a year, we have an open forum for parents, informal, to come in, sit down, and we go from table to table as board members and talking to parents about the different subjects that matter. So everything from school finance to academic accountability, but giving the parents an informal time to talk to us in an informal setting. So that's going to be for next year. Hopefully we can work together and do that. And then just working with the new superintendent, getting us aligned and holding everyone accountable for the outcomes that we have as a district. Because as President Hamirani said, I think it wasn't missing, but I don't think everyone thought that the board truly were engaged, and we were. And we will be, even more engaged in ensuring that we as a district are working in the best interest of every kid, to ensure that when every kid walks out of Stafford MSD, that they have all the tools needed to do whatever they want to do moving forward, whether it's college, whether it's a trade, whatever. We want to be the best districts at giving our kids those tools to walk into life and be successful.
Since you are guaranteed another term, your presence provides crucial continuity for the board during the superintendent transition. What is one specific initiative or policy you championed in your last term that you are determined to see finalized in this next one?
I really didn't champion truly a policy, but I have been the one that worked on the academic calendar and have kind of pushed for, as a board, that over half of our meetings should touch on academic accountability. That is really important to me, that we as a board are seeing everything that goes on. Now, academic accountability doesn't just mean star scores. We look at everything from attendance, everything that goes into the accountability and helping the kids to do better. So I am a huge proponent of that and have pushed for that in the last couple of years so that we as a board are more exposed to behavior issues that may go on in the school, accountability from testing and seeing, because one of the things we hadn't seen in a while was like beginning, middle, and end year scores, and making sure that we get to see all of that data before the final STAR test comes out. So we know as a district how we're performing throughout the year. And I'll keep pushing for that and then ensuring that, like I said, every kid has what they need to be successful. And then also working with teachers. I, along with the rest of the board, we're really big on trying to make sure that our teachers have the resources and the compensation that they deserve. And so as a board, I think the more we learn about how we can give teachers other ways of gaining salary from teachers' allotment and anything, we as a board have gone out and trying to learn more and more about it and make sure that our district and the people responsible for it are, working on getting those things implemented. And so that's hopefully what I'll take care of in the next, as a board, because we don't like asset. We are really aligned, and so really we don't individualize things. We bring them to each other, and then we work as a group and say, okay, and to our superintendent and put it forward to our superintendent and say, hey, as a group, this is what we would like to see.
We know teacher retention is a major concern. As the board prepares for the upcoming budget season under the new leadership, how do you plan to balance the need for competitive educator compensation with the district's overall financial realities?
That's something we also had to deal with last year. And if you remember last year, the board approved unanimously one of the largest pay increases we've ever had. And it was incredible. It's really important for us to do it. We as a board, since COVID, have been talking about doing it and then said, hey, we really need to. We've had high inflationary periods. We haven't had budget growth at all. Unfortunately, the state's kept our allotment locked in over the last 4 years because of just political fighting. We finally got a little bit of money this year, very little, but we also reallocated a lot of money. And part of what this new budget that we approved this year gave all our administrators who hadn't received a raise in quite some time, the largest raise. In addition to that, we also added an incentive portion for them as well. Again, we are, as a board, very much deliver results, and we will ensure that we get you compensated, because we know that's the reality. That's what our parents want. That's what happens in the private sector. That's what happens everywhere. And so that's one of the things we implemented. We're hoping that under the new superintendent, under a new budget, that we're able to do that again. And that I can't promise a large raise again, but we're hoping to continue the incentive piece. That's for administrators and for administrative staff. Teacher side, it's extremely exciting, and I'm glad this is finally coming to fruition, and Vice President Jean-Baptiste referred to it as our TIA, the Teacher Incentive Allotment, that's coming in place. So we are now in our collection year, meaning that we are collecting all the data. Starting next year, all those teachers who get the different criteria, and there's different levels, and it's all, a lot of it's state driven, a lot of it's local driven. We as a board have approved that. Next year, all those teachers who do well are actually going to get incentivized for that. And they're going to get paid extra money every month as part of that new TIA. And we're really, really excited. And one of the things that the state did this last legislative cycle is also expanded that. So now there's an enhanced version of it. And we're trying to be first in line to be in that new first pool of candidates in school districts that can get that enhanced. And what that does is allow it to even go higher. And not only does it give teachers a pay raise, but also gives teachers an increase every year as a step up, as opposed to just longevity. You also get it based on performance in addition to longevity. So it's a really exciting thing that we as a district can do. And the beauty of this plan is it doesn't cost us district money. It comes from the state, and the state reimburses us every dollar for it. So we're extremely excited to be able to put that into place. And the other thing that we really benefited from this year, and I'm excited for all our teachers who have 3 or 5 years of experience, is when the state did the step up, they gave rural districts a larger step up than anyone else. And because of our size, even though we're not rural, we get classified under that new classification. And because of that, our teachers will now actually make more money than any of our surrounding districts, because all of them are large. And so we're really, really excited about that. We've always, as a district, I know me and Jean-Baptiste, Vice President Jean-Baptiste, have talked about this, and also the entire board. We want our teachers to do well, and we want to hire the best teachers. At the end of the day, that's all the data, every single meeting you attend, everything that our chiefs tell us is the quality of teacher in that classroom has the biggest determinant on what happens to our students. And as a board, we want to ensure that we have the best teachers in that classroom that we can possibly do. And we want to make sure we incentivize them to do so and to pay them. At the end of the day, we have to pay our teachers, and I'm so excited we're actually able to do so. And I'm really hopeful that we get some of those teachers with the highest classifications and they're going to make over 6 figures. And that's been our goal from day one. And I think this next year there's a chance, I've got my fingers crossed, that some of our teachers actually make over 6 figures. And the word gets out, and everyone wants to come apply here. And next year you're asking me a question is, you've got too many applicants. How are you determining which teachers you want to hire?
We thank President Hamirani and Vice President Jean-Baptiste for taking the time to speak with us. For Stafford Weekly News, I'm Mal Morales.
Last week was World Autism Acceptance Week, and SMSD's Early Childhood Center observed it in the most delightfully school way possible, with books. World Autism Acceptance Week was held March 30th through April 6th. And one way SMSD's Early Childhood Center observed it was by hosting a book signing event by their very own Linda Carranza. You'll remember Linda from an earlier story and her book about her autistic son, Philippe.
Going good. This is my first book signing. Super excited and thankful for Ms. Hines and Ms. Atkinson setting this up. It's a blessing. And this is Felipe. Say hi, Felipe.
Hi, Felipe. Okay, so how has the book been doing?
It's been going very well. I've been able to sell it in different platforms, so I have a lot of events coming up this month. So I'm very excited to just have my voice out there and advocating for all of our kids like Felipe. So it's been a big blessing and a learning experience for me as well. So we have my Instagram, and it's all my updates that's coming up with the book signing. I have an award coming up and just a little bit of insight of my journey with Felipe and autism. So feel free to scan my QR code and they can have my Instagram, and I'll be uploading a lot of great things for him.
I'm the proud mother of Aries Rain Williams, a student who attends school at Stafford Elementary School and is also on the autism spectrum. When Aries received his diagnosis of autism in 2020, it forever changed our lives in understanding how he uniquely sees the world and how we as a society can do our best to try to embrace him and others like him for who they are and what they are capable of giving to society. Advice that I would give to families who are just receiving that autism diagnosis, the first would be to understand that autism is a spectrum. So that does not necessarily mean that your child is or will not be able to accomplish certain things. Every journey has its own unique path, and you as a parent, your role is to love that child, to embrace them for who they are, and to support them on that journey. It has been a true honor to be able to see the growth of Linda Carranza from being an instructional para here at Stafford Early Childhood Center to seeing how she has grown and evolved into such an amazing advocate for individuals with autism and other disabilities. We are so proud of her for using her voice to make a positive impact on society, and I cannot wait to see how much more she has to offer to the world.
For Spartan Spotlight, this is Randall Williams. That's a wrap on our news for this week. Thank you for joining us. For everyone here at Stafford Weekly News, I'm Randall Williams. May all your news be good news.
This program was produced at City Hall of Stafford, Texas, in association with Houston City College.